We are absolutely winning right now. Absolutely. We have done more than change the conversation. We changed the balance of power in the federal government.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed. Right? This can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Make it stop. Make the hurt stop, please. Like.
JLY. JLY. Balliamo sotto la luna, cantano i grilli, balliamo fino alla fortuna, il sole ritorna, la notte è giovane e noi siamo anche, possiamo per sempre restare, se andiamo là, balliamo sotto la luna. Balliamo sotto la luna, cantano i grilli, balliamo fino alla fortuna, il sole ritorna, la notte è giovane, noi siamo anche, possiamo per sempre restare, se andiamo là, balliamo sotto la luna. Balliamo sotto la luna.
Welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I feel like we've been waiting long enough to get this white party kicked off. I'm thinking about having a white panel after I do my my little dance here. I think it would be appropriate to have a white panel after what happens today on this show. I left you guys yesterday. We were talking about Andrew Tate returning to America. And as I played the clips of him doing his interview on the PBD podcast, he made a very impassioned plea for white culture and for white people to assert themselves. And I really was gonna, leave that show at that, but I guess we're at it for a something of a continuation of that topic. Because today I come across this video of Matt Walsh, rather long video, where he's unhappy with the current state of things in regards to race relations. He's not really feeling it. You understand what I'm saying? And he seems so close. He's like almost on the edge of saying the forbidden words. He's this close to thinking the unthinkable. And that's dope. That's really dope. But we are gonna think the unthinkable. We're gonna speak the unspeakable. We're gonna break the unbreakable. It's Hovey, baby. Like we are definitely gonna go deeper into this idea than most people do. Honestly, I don't know if there's another show on this whole platform that dares touch these topics, especially from a black guy. You can almost forget it, but we're going in. We're going all the way in. We're gonna find the bottom. But this is an interesting subject I keep coming back to, because I believe in the next, 10 years, racialism will be openly discussed at coffee tables, nightclubs, and bars, dinner parties, brunches, luncheons. It will be the talk of the town. It will be like the 50s and 60s again, but in reverse this time. I'm just keeping my my finger on the pulse, keeping track of where things are going, how they wound up there, you know what I mean? So we are definitely going to take a look at this issue once more into the breach.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
This is what victory feels like. Yeah. This is an important seminar, but this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. This is what victory feels like. Yeah. This is an important seminar, but this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
It's going to be hell on earth. These little incel boys are out of control. They got their MAGA hats on. They are ready. Rape culture is back, baby.
I saw this cartoon from Freedom Tunes the other day, and I just got to break this down. It's so interesting what everybody is starting to notice here. It's not just me. I am not alone on the forefront of noticing.
I'm so sick of racism.
Oh, please. What are you complaining about?
You know what my ancestors went through?
Do you know what mine went through?
Trust me, what mine went through was worse.
No, mine had it worse.
Mine did.
I think we kind of had a micro version of that debate right on this panel just yesterday. Had a white guy on the panel. He's like, yeah, you know, things kind of suck for white people right now. You black folks are on this is the best you've ever had it. Black people in the panel on the chat like, shut up, white guy. I swear we just had this exact debate.
Great, grandpa, I choose you!
And I like how they bring out their grandpas like dueling Pokemon. So now their relatives can sort of battle out the oppression that neither one of them ever actually experienced, right? That's the irony of it. Neither one of these guys, they are both Pokemon trainers. Neither one of them have never been a Pokemon, but they want justice for Pokemon oppression, essentially. So they had to bring out the real Pokemon and let them fight it out.
Well, hello, great granddad. Show them how hard your life was. Oh, my life was wonderful. The Lord hath blessed me. Always with this.
And look, see, that was the killer right there. Then you go ask your ancestors what it was like. They like, I don't know why you niggas is complaining.
Just talk about your childhood. Talk about your mother. I'd rather not dwell on hard times. Every time you see me, you force me to. Granddad, it's important. The future depends on it.
You already said every time you see me, you force me to relive the worst things I've ever felt, right? Like, you won't even let me rest in peace, motherfucker. You walking around here all living and whole, and you won't let me rest in peace. Ain't that about a bitch?
Well, if you say so. When my mother was sold, I was a young boy. Wasn't long before slavery ended either. I vowed to track her down, but my family was so close to starvation during the sharecropping, I just wasn't able to leave the farm. Lost a few of my siblings, and when I was older, I had given up all hope of seeing her again. I didn't even want to look. Just one more thing that could crush my soul.
Hi. I'm sorry to hear it. Don't say that. Huh? It's nothing compared to what you went through. Tell about your mother. I'd rather not relive.
And here goes the white guy, heavy Irish accent, because you know they kind of got it the worst, the most recent, and now it's dueling pokepression. This really was a great concept.
That's okay. Granddad, the future needs you to talk about this. My life depends on it. Well, the truth is, I lost me mother when I was a lad, too. Starved to death in the famine, along with half my country. She was given whatever food she could find to us. Well, me father was traveling in search of more. When he came back from his scavenge empty-handed, he found her with green lips. She'd been eating the grass to stay alive because there was nothing left for her. Never saw him smile again after that. I guess you could say we had it pretty hard. So
it almost sounds like a wash, right? It almost sounds like times were hard all over. It's bad for everybody. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
What do you mean we have it hard? Is it still like that? Just everything I went through for nothing? Granddad, it's very, very hard to be Irish in America today.
What? Sir, your descendants are considered white and privileged.
We are? Hi, that's the second best news I've gotten all eternity. We're white, son. We're privileged. Stop it, Granddad. Hi, I'm a privileged white man.
Yeah, fun fact, I think the Irish had to buy their way into whiteness. I don't know if it was some kind of indentured servitude program or if it was just a straight up payment plan, but they effectively had to buy their way into whiteness. Took a while for them to get there. And they're about to lose it, ironically. They were only white for a part of a century.
We're white. I have white privilege. I have white privilege.
That's actually not the ideal attitude to have about this.
We're not privileged. We're losing our rights.
Oh, please. White people have more money on average, and black people are more likely to be stopped by the police for...
Now, don't listen to him. Black people are favored for jobs and college entry.
College? Because schools overcompensate for...
Wait 1 second here. The cops... Did you say something about the cops? They're not still whooping Irish people's arses, are they?
No, you guys became the police force.
Oh,
yeah, they did. They did. Had to earn your way in. It was, service guaranteed citizenship, something like that,
became the police force.
What's this you're saying about college? My descendants are going to college? Yeah.
Yeah. Black folk live a bigger dream than any of you could have ever imagined. If you could show like people fresh off the plantation the life of your average welfare mother of 5 just shopping at Costco, she would cry tears of glory. I swear to God, she would cry tears of glory. She would be hallelujah. Hallelujah, Lord, we've made it. Thank you, Jesus. I knows I ain't suffer all this time for nothing. If a woman fresh off the plantation could look just in the shopping cart of your average welfare mom, she would thank white Jesus for eternity in heaven.
This is pointless. Let's go.
Actually, I was hoping I can go with him for a bit. Fine, whatever.
Do you mind if I spend a bit more time with this lad instead? Do your thing, man.
And
College,
they're literally
they
able to
almost
get away
never
with
go to
anything
jail
they
when they
want.
break the
The
law.
rich,
the media
the
bends over
majority of people in
backwards to
positions of
babysit
power.
them. Everyone's
Most of
constantly
the
bending over
CEOs are
backwards
white
for them to
guys,
protect their
like your
feelings.
descendants.
Music
Here's
to
to
my
my
ears.
It's actually not as long of a grab range as most people think, because for
I don't even know what this last part's about.
one frame, he like leans his hitbox forward and
There's a time to change silence! Boost your prayer life with Hollow!
Anyway, I just thought that was a brilliant commercial. I mean, a brilliant concept with the battling Pokemon, and your ancestors technically both had it pretty fucking bad, because everybody, unless you were royalty or just short of royalty, everybody had it pretty bad right up until like the 40s or something. And even then, that was just like in America and Britain or something, you know. Everybody in the rest of the world still had it pretty bad. But I've been talking about this sort of thing a little bit lately, that the eventual disappearance of white culture, of whiteness, white people, however you want to frame it. I don't know that it's the great gift that people are advertising it as. I don't know that the end of whiteness is a thing that I necessarily want, right? Say whatever you want about white supremacy and systemic racism and all that, but I don't want to be South Africa, you know? Actually, it was a couple of years ago. We kind of covered the fall of South Africa on this channel. And it was a glorious live stream. It was an amazing time in South Africa to watch the chaos and the turmoil and the scramble for random nothingness. And it was beautiful in its ugliness. And I don't really want that for us. And I've been noticing, and this kind of how I started putting the stream together, because, you know, I like to collect evidence, as it were. And I've been noticing that other people have been noticing too, and they're not quiet about it. Like, I played this for you guys the other day. Let's go back to this video because I love this video.
White man, white man, the white man, whoa, whoa, white man.
Niggas out here, on the one hand, you got black people who believe down to their melanated bones that white supremacy and systemic racism are the most evil things that could have ever occurred, and the white man must absolutely pay for all of his racism and his systemic crimes against the melanated communities. They believe that as a matter of like religious truth, right? Black people believe that like Christians believe in the blood of Jesus, right? Yet on the other hand, you got niggas out here making full-on white man anthems.
White man,
The duality of Negro.
white man, the white man, whoa, whoa, white man,
And he's singing about the white man with feeling and passion and soul. Do I hear admiration? Just a little bit. We're not gonna go all overboard. You know, he's still a nigga. But I do hear a little bit of admiration.
This the type of white a nigga really wanna be.
This the type of white a nigga really wanna be. Like, he was in the Home Depot paint section looking at all the whites. You know, Eggshell, Angel hair, platinum, silver tone white. He was looking at all the styles of white and he chose his whiteness. He selected his whiteness and he made a song about it.
Oh, white man, yeah. This the type of white a nigga really wanna be. In the house making me a motherfucking exercise ball jet ski. Cause I'm a fucking white man. I'm in the garage right now chilling with a white friend. We going over these blueprints, bitch, these the white plans. Coming through this motherfucker, yeah, bitch, I got some white friends.
It is kind of catchy too.
Yeah.
And I want to ride that
Cause
ball jet
bitch,
ski
I'm the
thing.
white man. God damn it, watch me, bitch, I'm the white man. Credits go up, bitch, yes, I'm the white man. This the type of white a nigga really wanna be, white man. White man. Ran around that bitch with some white plans.
And shout out to the Midwest request with the $1 Rumble chat. He says White Boy Summer Part 2. It is just about that time for White Boy Summer activities to start gearing up. Yeah, that could be about it. Shout out to the Midwest request. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Please do like the video as you make your way into the building. Like, share, and subscribe. Donate to the show. You can catch me on Venmo at The Hoodservative. You know, actually, somebody sent me a little a Venmo donation the other day, and Venmo doesn't have like a little alert thing. I can't find any way to turn on alerts for Venmo, so it doesn't even tell you. But somebody did send me a Venmo donation the other day, and I just happened to notice it late. But my apologies. I think that was Roger. Yeah, shout out to Roger the other day with the that was like last week. Damn. Shout out to Roger though with the $2 Venmo chat. But thank you everybody for supporting the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. And you can follow me over on Rumble, and you can support the show directly with a Rumble chat. Shout out to the Midwest Request Show.
I need that money.
SKC in the chat asked a question that I don't actually have to answer myself. I already have a video queued up for that exact question. SKC says, will the erasure of white cultures result in a retardation of civilization? I have made that argument. I have made that argument several times on this channel that it's not so much some kind of like physical love of white people per se. That's not what I say. That's not why I say what I say. That's not why I come to the conclusions I come to. But there is a civilizational issue at stake here. Civilization codes is white. I'm sorry. And I like being civilized. I like for us to all be civilized. And I don't necessarily want to lose that for diversity and what do you call it? Equity and inclusion and all that, all the modern stuff, liberalism. There you go. I don't want to lose it because we're liberal and progressive and modern.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the white people just left? Well, look at South Africa, and now you can know. For a very long time, anti-colonialists have been telling all of the white people in Africa, hey, your population isn't from Africa naturally. You gotta go. So a group of white settlers in Africa decided to do just that. They packed up, moved out into the middle of underdeveloped and completely barren land, and established their own colony, Orania. So despite doing everything that liberals would want, going off and not bothering anybody, not taking away any resources, leaving Africans to have their own country and going off to make their own where nobody was living, now they're being called racist because it's a nicer place to live than the rest of South Africa, and they don't want to let anybody in. So that's what would happen. Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the white people just left? Well, look at South Africa, now you can know. For a very long time, anti-colonialists have been telling all of the white people in Africa, hey, your population isn't from Africa naturally.
Now, we covered this kind of when we watched the the Africa Adios documentary. It was a shocking, a lot of visually jarring images in that documentary. So, South Africa isn't the only example. But the reality is, though, all the other examples, the real history of it has all been buried and whitewashed and hidden under the sands of time now. Nobody wants to tell you how decolonization actually looked on the ground. If it weren't for that one documentary, I don't know if we would have any of the really hardcore images of true decolonization. It's not pretty. Won't be fun. It was never fun any of the other times it happened. And all of the countries appear to still be suffering from it.
But it is happening. White people are going extinct. Yep. You are going extinct. And then when you tell people this, they have lots of different answers to it. But nationalism is feared when white people band together. And then, you can argue, this actually ties back into something that's very interesting. The reason they fear nationalism when white people get banded together is because they apply it to World War II. They say, well, white nationalists do what Hitler did because he was a white nationalist. So they say that when white people get together and are nationalistic, it's like the Nazis. When other people get together and they're nationalistic, it's not. Is this actually true? Is this the largest psyop in history? I mean, World War II has had such a profound effect on our culture up until this point now. World War II is the basis for all good and bad in the entire world.
And we spoke about this idea for the last couple of days, the World War II Groundhog's Day. MLK is forever Black Jesus for white people, and the mean German guy is forever the devil for white people. And you have those two pillars of your new neo-morality, your new the faith of your neoliberalism. Those are the pillars of your neoliberalism faith. MLK as Black Jesus and the German mean guy as the ultimate evil, as the devil incarnate.
If I say to you, name the worst person in history, you'll probably say Hitler. You won't say Stalin, who killed more, because he was on our team. Or Mao. Or Mao, who killed more. Now, I'm not sitting here sticking up for Hitler. I'm just saying that World War II has shaped the modern world. And they use it as an emotional trigger to prevent white people from sticking up for themselves. Guess what I saw in the car on the way here? A terror attack in Germany.
Now, on the one hand, Andrew is he's making an obvious, he's saying obvious truths, right? Now let me share the exact opposite of that.
White people are like the worst niggas. That's why we created the Real Nigga University,
a training camp for Black people who believe they're the real Israelites.
The Real Nigga University. I wonder what their entrance exams are like.
White people are like the worst niggas. That's why we created the Real Nigga University.
A training camp for black people who believe they're the real Israelites.
Christ said this, my sheep hear my voice. These men found us.
White people are a virus. The only way to get rid of it is the medicine. Real.
Now, the issue I think at hand, and the thing that a lot of people are beginning to notice, is that groups like these are kind of prevalent. This is not uncommon. There's a Real Nigga University in almost every state.
Real niggas are the medicine.
They're allowed to date white women?
No, they're not allowed to date white women. But when brothers come into the school, they might have white women already. Some people have a hard time with that because of how harshly we teach about white people.
What are your plans for her and her kind?
It's not really our plans, it's God's plan. According to the Bible, God is going to avenge black people for what white people did, so they go enslaved. You know, they got.
You hear this, right? God is going to avenge black people. It's destined. Now, the irony of it is, on the one hand, you know, the black Hebrew Israelite type, you know, we'll play him talking like this, and it's a ha ha he type of thing when he says it's like, oh, look at these old funny niggas, and they're funny religious concepts and all that. Like, we play him talking about it. It doesn't really hit that hard.
These blacks.
However, if I were to play video of the other Semitics making the exact same religious argument, minus the slavery, but God wills it essentially. You know what? I would never play that video because I know better.
Got to be in chains. They got to build our kingdom. They got to serve out the judgment for touching God's people.
But why do they want revenge so badly? I was invited to their headquarters to take a closer look.
When you come in, you actually step on the white man. So this is called the Russian icons. And when you open it, these are the original artwork and imagery of Christ.
Are you guys labeled as a terrorist organization?
I know we're a hate group. We're labeled as a hate group. We're not a hate group. We're a love group. The brothers that we need to bring in here, they're a hate group. They sell drugs to their own brothers. They sleep with their brothers' wives. We don't have the physical chains on us no more. But the mental you guys have done to us is why we come across as a hate group.
What's ironic about these like extreme far-right black groups is they are kind of in a weird way, they are analogous to like the far-right white groups in their own respective ways. Like you guys are on a similar trajectory, if going in opposite directions, right? But he's in like a religious group, right? So they have a more biblical, spiritual reasoning for how they come to that conclusion. Whereas, you know, there are a lot of people who've come to that conclusion, I guess, because they went to school or something.
Possible to be towards white people, rebel, you disagree.
Yeah, I feel like even with talking about it now, I feel like the power gap between men and women are smaller than the power gap between black people and white people.
In like another hypothetical situation, say there was a country in Africa, for example, and they had an all-black government. Country was completely run by black people, and then, for example, say that there was a bunch of like farmers who are white, and the all-black government was systemically kicking out all of those farmers out of the country, and in many cases, people would that be?
In your hypothetical situation, yes.
Well, what if I told you that's
yeah.
exactly what's happened in South Africa right now?
Nah, I feel like we looking out for us in that situation. Like, I'm not gonna lie, because just the history of Africa by itself, like they not even meant to be there. They gonna get sunburnt. We really helping them out if we really be honest. And we kicking them. They need to go to Iceland or something where they can thrive better.
So you say that it's completely appropriate for the all-black government to be expropriating, I think that's the word, the land of these white farmers that they've been farming for generations and generations. And you think that because they're looking out for themselves, then that's an okay thing to do.
Why is it wrong if his group of people starts to look out for themselves? That's going to be the question of the decade in a couple of years. That is going to be the conversation that you can't get away from in a few more years. And again, I noticed that not everybody falls on the same side of the argument. Not everybody lines up exactly like you would expect it. I'm not the only black guy who notices the reality on the table here.
What about DEI now? When you see major companies, Fortune 500 companies taking hits and some taking gains because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And some would say like, yo, we going AI. I don't want to feel obligated to do certain things, but for the certain people who have been oppressed, suppressed, and forgotten, we need our jobs. We need equal rights. What's your stance on that?
I don't care about DE&I. I've said in op-eds in Time Magazine, Black Enterprise, and Fortune, you want to kill it, kill it. It's already been weaponized. It's been made political and not and emotional and you know it's dead. DE&I as a program is effectively dead. I don't care about DE&I. I love diversity, and I love math because it doesn't have an opinion, and God has a sense of humor.
Right.
I like this guy already. Math doesn't have an opinion, and God has a sense of humor. G Dizzle says, funny, South Africa temperature-wise is very similar to Europe. Yeah, I guess that's why the whites thrive down there. It's the last place to get kicked out of. It's the best part of Africa for the white people, apparently.
So for the first time in history, this country cannot succeed without all of us. In 1950, America was 90% white, not 1850, Ken. 1950. Today, America's 40% black and brown. Within 10 years, there'll be a majority of minorities. The biggest economy in the world, the US. First of all, you never had a superpower that wasn't the economic power at the same time. In the history of the world, Rome, France, Germany, you never had a superpower that wasn't economic. So we're the superpower, we're the economic power. And 70% of the US economy, about $29 trillion, is consumer spending. That's you and me going to restaurants, going to lunch, playing video games, buying our phones. That's consumer spending. Or the plane tickets that we bought. That's us. Even the racist wins when black people succeed going forward because GDP rises. We're having the wrong argument. In fact, we're arguing. There's no need to argue. There's not enough college-educated, successful white men to drive GDP growth.
Whoa. Nigga, what you just say? Nigga, I know this nigga not talking crazy. This nigga talking crazy.
I'm telling you, man. This the reason why I be hating niggas, man. I'm telling you, man. It just be us. I be hating niggas, man.
Wait a minute. Nah, this nigga talking crazy. What did he just say? There's not enough college-educated white men doing college-educated white men things. We need more college-educated white men doing college-educated white men stuff to keep the GDP strong. The fuck this nigga talking about? Hold up. Nah, he bugging. He got to be tripping.
The racist wins when black people succeed going forward because GDP rises. We're having the wrong argument. In fact, we're arguing. There's no need to argue. There's not enough college-educated, successful white men to drive GDP, gross domestic product, for the next 20 years. So unless my white friends want to be speaking Mandarin in 20 years, meaning Chinese, or taken over by Russia, which is not likely, but unless you want to be speaking another language, we better figure out in the next 5 or 10 years that we're better together.
We're better together. Ooh. This nigga, yeah, nigga just saying anything, Dolomite. Now we're better together? What you mean we're better together? Because the Chinese want to enslave all of us? What are you talking about? We're better together. Because Europe is going to turn Muslim in like 5 years. Now we're better together? It's crazy talk. It's crazy talk.
You teach me all my life that the white man is the devil? What the hell is that? Come on, you teach me my whole life that the white man is the devil. Now you tell me it's all right for him to come among us.
White identity, certainly in the South, but in a lot of other places in the country, was dependent on keeping blacks down. The reality today, Marissa, is black privilege, not white privilege. I will believe in white privilege the first time I see a black student put his race down as white.
The reality today is black privilege, not white privilege. How many of you guys agree with that? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that black privilege is actually what's in effect today, as opposed to this argument they make about white privilege. Put a 1 in the chat if you think black privilege is actually way more prevalent than this thing called white privilege. Because this is the conversation that's coming up. I'm telling you, it's going to be on the tip of everyone's tongue before you even know it happens. You're going to be like, I remember that one crazy nigga on YouTube told me about this shit.
When he's applying to college because he thinks that being white will give him an advantage. If you're a heterosexual white male today, you are the last person that's going to be admitted to medical school, to law school. You will need SATs, LSATs, MCAT scores, the medical college admissions tests that are 100%, 200% better than black students. If you presented their qualifications, you would be automatically rejected. But to be perfectly honest, what also needs to happen is a sea change in inner city culture. If every black parent acted like an Asian parent, with the same fanatical attention to their children's doing homework, taking textbooks home, the skills gap would go away. And the whole DEI complex, which is simply about making excuses for black underperformance and saying the problem is racism rather than something that is more difficult to tackle, it would all go away.
And you know what I think has really happened on a practical level when you just take all the emotionality out of it and the fear and whatnot? White people can reasonably ask, short of reparations, which is effectively suicide at that point, short of an act of seppuku, what more can white people do for black people to solve these alleged issues? I mean, you want me to put on the white robe and have my best friend wait with the sword so he can take my head off as I rip my intestines out? That is a question. That is a question. Short of that, what more do you want from me? You know, white folk is like Tyrese out there. What more do you want from me? We are like that fucked up, horrible ex-wife that just won't stop dragging white people to court. I heard that motherfucker got a better job. I need more money. He don't want to take care of these kids. Look at all these bastard children. He got to take care of his kids. We are like the raggedy baby mamas keep showing up in court trying to ruin a nigga life and shit. It is kind of a weird position. And then, you know what else I've been noticing about this issue, right? A couple of video clips came up recently. People who are openly like anti-white, people who have said in one statement or another that they want less white people, or they wish white people would pay for XY thing in the past or whatever. People are starting to say, I liked it better when there were more white people now. Even the anti-white people low-key miss white people. How did that happen?
I'm a kid who had a normal middle-class upbringing. I consider it an idyllic time, an innocence you couldn't buy today. First of all, I grew up in New Jersey in the 60s. There was no racial issues because there was only one race in town. So there weren't racial issues. There weren't drug issues. There wasn't even any like divorce. It was really the land that time forgot. You know, it was Leave It to Beaver land. I'm a kid who...
This motherfucker just described like Shangri-La. He just described growing up in the Shire, but it was New Jersey though. Like, come on. Even the white haters miss white culture. Don't think I haven't noticed, okay? Don't think that I am not over here taking notes and writing down things, bro. You niggas ain't slick. You hate the white man, but you miss that motherfucker. He's not even gone yet. Shout out to SKC with the $1 Rumble chat. He says, some cultures focus on fun, others get stuff done. A few specialize in destruction. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Smash that like button for me, y'all.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! You make Hulk angry. You not like Hulk angry. Hulk no like fighting girls.
Had a normal middle class upbringing. I consider it an idyllic time, an innocence you couldn't buy today. First of all, I grew up in New Jersey in the 60s. There was no racial issues because there was only one race in town. So there weren't racial issues. There weren't drug issues. There wasn't even any like divorce. It was really the land that time forgot. You know, it was Leave It to Beaver land.
Like I said, even the haters are starting to be honest about their love and admiration. Like, here's Trevor Noah now, low-key admitting that this diversity thing, it just doesn't do what we need it to do.
I think the part of the reason Finland is able to do it is because, have you been to Finland?
It's very homogeneous.
I've been to Finland. You know who's in Finland? Finnish people. That's it. That's it. And because they're all Finnish, there's an idea of like, no, we all head in the same direction. We all know what our actions mean. And that's a really powerful thing I've learned in communicating with other people. When I'm in a room with anyone where we start to tie together multiple things. So if I'm in a room with Black people, already there's like an implicit trust because we know what certain actions, words, and vibes mean. But I would love to know if you think integration was the right solution, maybe. On the other side of, you know, what America, of civil rights.
Yeah. No, I don't. And I don't think it's actually that controversial if you understand that segregation and integration weren't the only options. And you're being integrated into institutions, into a culture that's a culture that feeds off of hierarchy, that feeds off of insecurity.
Oh, so now you don't want to do integration no more? You want to undo all that you've done now? And then you got Trevor Noah. Like, I think the reason why all this progressivism works in Finland is because everybody in Finland is from Finland, which is closer to the truth. It helps when you're all on the same team. It also helps when you just don't have crazy, stupid ideas.
Well, just on principle, like every other group in the world has the right to its own homeland except white people. Like what? Yeah. Like tell me, just explain to me how that makes sense. Either no group has the right or every group has the right. It's really that simple. And if you want to say no group has the right, okay. You might even convince me. I don't know. I'm not a race guy, actually, by my temperament at all. I'd kind of like to ignore it. But as long as some groups have a right to self-determination, then every group has a right. It's that simple.
Tucker didn't want to be a race guy. A lot of people don't want to be race guys, apparently. White folk, they have this aversion to the race thing for whatever reason, and it goes deep. But a lot of people, they don't want to be the race guy. Tucker's, he says it flat out. I'm not a race guy. But you're forcing race on me. I didn't want to wear the armor. All right, I didn't want to wear the armor. Don't make me pull the sword from the stone, goddammit. I didn't want to pull the sword from the stone. But everybody else is armed. Why can't I have a sword? Everybody else got a sword. Well, my sword is in the stone, goddamn it. That's where mine is. You made me this way. I didn't want to be this way. I didn't want to have to say the words. I didn't want to have to do the things. But look at you guys. Look at what you guys are up to.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.
And if there's a special carve out where one group doesn't have a right, you have to explain to me why that group doesn't have that right.
Yeah.
Is that
Absolutely.
fair?
No, it's absolutely fair. Well, I think South Africa is a
What? I mean, what the hell why are we playing along with this nonsense?
Yeah, it's this narrative has become this massive stream that is turned into rapids on a river that just pulls everyone along. And this narrative just says if you're white, then there's inherently something wrong with you.
It doesn't make any sense, and it's leading toward a really bad conclusion, obviously, as it has for every other group targeted in this way has really suffered in a bit, and there are a lot of them. Okay. It's not, there are a lot of them.
Yep.
And it never ends up well. And I just don't know why we're playing along where you're not even allowed to say, oh, you haven't been. I don't care anymore, obviously. But again,
Tucker said he doesn't care anymore. He used to care. He wanted to care. He was a caring, thoughtful white man. But then he noticed there was a sword in the stone calling him. The sword called him. It called Tucker by name and was like, Tucker, you have to pull the sword from the stone, Tucker. You have to save the kingdom, Tucker. Use the sword. Use the sword, Tucker. It was calling him. It was calling him this whole time. He wanted to be just a regular, decent white man. And then he heard something whisper his voice. And now there's no turning back.
Fuck you. War.
Again, either every group has right to self-determination or no group does. You can't have this system where, some groups do or all groups do, but one. No. It's all or nothing on this.
Yeah. Well, I can guarantee.
Tell me how I'm wrong.
No. Well, I can guarantee you that.
Tell me how I'm wrong. That's how it starts right there. Tell me how I'm wrong. You know what I've never really seen in the world? You have these it's okay to be white campaigns that pop up here and there. In some little town, some little village, a guy will put up some flyers, maybe a billboard or a poster or something saying it's okay to be white, and it will make the news. And people on the news will be like, a hate campaign was launched in small town America today. News 4 has more. And they talk about, all this racism stuff. And they do, the interviews, Little Housewives. Like, I thought this was a better town. I couldn't believe something like that would happen in this place. It's modern day. It's current year. And I didn't believe we were just like that anymore. All because of it's okay to be white as a poster gets popped up somewhere, right? But nobody has ever asked, well, tell me why I'm wrong. Are you saying it's not okay? Okay, well, explain that then. Let's have that conversation on news at 7:00 p.m. prime time. I'm telling you, it's starting.
When I get back home, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble for this interview.
I don't know why, though. I mean, like, what's the counter argument? I don't really get it. Like, what is the counter argument? There's only one group on the entire face of the planet that doesn't have the right that every other group has. Like, tell me how.
It's
no,
really
I mean, like,
bizarre.
maybe there's a good answer.
Look, Foreigner doesn't really want to talk about it. He's like, look, I'm going to get in trouble with all my brown friends. I shouldn't even be talking to you. You're one of those white men. I shouldn't have known. They didn't tell me about this when I got here.
Nothing on this.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee.
Tell me how I'm wrong.
No, Well, I can guarantee you that when I get back home, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble for this interview.
Well, I don't know why though. I mean, like, what's the counter argument? I don't really get it. Like, what is the counter argument? There's only one group on the entire face of the planet that doesn't have the right that every other group has.
Look at Tucker. That is the white man's universal "why do you hate me" face. He's really trying to figure out, like, you hate me? Like, really, still? After all this? We ended slavery. We taught you people how to farm. You fucked that up, so we just gave you food and money. Let you go to all the schools. Let you fuck our women. And you still hate me. Seriously, you still hate me. After all we've done, after all you've gotten, after all we've done and after all we've bled for you, you still hate me. That's incredible. I'm really trying to wrap my mind around that. Like, that's his curious face. Like, you really still hate me. Like, unbelievable. And what's interesting about this, right? Tucker Carlson, like Matt Walsh coming up in a minute. Yeah, noticing phase has turned to inconvenient questioning phase, right? SKC, you know, we've been kind of tracking things for a while now. You can see the shifts slowly trending into the opposite direction. But what's interesting about Tucker Carlson and then Matt Walsh coming up next is that they're both relatively milquetoast, nice white men. They represent a certain type of white man, right? Get up, go to work every day. You don't say harmful or offensive things about the blacks and the browns. You know, you don't talk crazy about women or whatever like that. You just go do your thing. You know, work, gym, food, home, right? That's, you know, a lot of white guys like that. Or you might have a family or whatever, you know, and you're just doing your thing. And you're just noticing, like, you really hate me? Like, really? You hate me that much? Whether it's, you know, the blacks, the browns, whether it's women in general. Just seriously, you really fucking hate me that much?
I don't know why though. I mean, like, what's the counter argument? I don't really get it. Like, what is the counter argument? There's only one group on the entire face of the planet that doesn't have the right that every other group has. Like, tell me how.
It's
no,
really
I mean, like,
bizarre.
maybe there's a good answer. I'm waiting for it.
No, well, we don't know what the answer is.
So there is no answer, and so because there is no answer, the way that uniformity is maintained is just through threats. Like, shut up.
Yep.
You're a bad person.
And yeah, there it is. That is why the left wing, liberalism, the progressives, they are the censorship movement. They are the party of, you can't say that, you can't talk like that, you can't watch that video, you can't listen to that one song on TikTok or whatever. That is now the left wing. They are now in the position of, we are the authoritarians. We are uber feminist, sexually progressive, diverse bullies, gangsters, and fascist control freaks, right? That is the new left wing at this point. And they really, because, you know, it's difficult to justify things like fascism, especially if you have no religious morality or no ethnic traditional identity to be fascist in defense of. They really are left stepping off a cliff at this point, because now what you have with the modern left is basically fascism in defense of all things that most people would actually hate. It's one thing to be, you know, fascist for your nation. It's one thing to be a little bit extreme for your people. Who made that quote? You know, extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. That sort of thing. It's one thing when you have an actual identity and a base and a tradition, and you're defending that all or nothing. But the left has nothing. It's all based on nothing. It's based on a series of new beliefs, things that we just thought up yesterday, things that we all kind of loosely started to agree on the night before last. There is nothing to defend there. And again, I am not the only guy noticing the cliff that we are all on. Some of you might have seen this video before, but I want to run it back for you guys.
So you're saying Black folks created that name white supremacy?
That's correct, from Africa, because we are just amazed by the things they've done. Well, we describe them always by inventions. That's all. They can command water from far away through tubes into their bedrooms. We can even fetch a bucket of water from the next lake. You will be drowned. They can put electricity. We never had one in Africa. They have airplanes fly over us. It's amazing. Everything they've done is the reason my people say these people are superior, not because of slavery. They came to colonize us and they brought things we have never seen before. They gave a king a mirror and he was dancing and sold his people away. They brought guns we have never seen, boom, and killed somebody right away. You know what they used to do in the Congo?
Right.
They put dynamite in the rocks and then they hide the switch. And then when they point their finger, it go boom. And the Congolese till today, they call the white man kiboom, the sound of the dynamite. And then they go down and they go like this. If they're not superior, why do you see every picture when a white man arrives in Africa, we're bowing to them? We have never seen a gun kill a human being. We have never seen a mirror. We have never seen a radio tune in and somebody speaking from England, the Queen's voice. So for us, all these things, these people must be really superior and close to God. They used to have a joke in Ghana that when God said, let's pray, the white man opened his eyes. The Black people were covering his eyes. So the white man saw how God created the world. That's why they are so good at what they do. And I'm telling you, these are folklores from which we grew up. If anyone told you that white people came to Africa to tell us they're superior, it's a lie. They never said that.
And so now I want to get to Matt Walsh. Actually, there's something it's something I had queued up. Let's watch this together real quick. Let's see what this is. White people stuff, y'all. Before we get to Matt Walsh, let's explore this white people stuff together.
This is proof that Scotland is just not real. So I went on a run and look what I found. Like, are you for real? This is a proof that Scotland is just not real. So I went on a run and look what I found.
Sounds like Braveheart, doesn't it? That's the castle that William Wallace married his girlfriend outside of. Anyway, enough white people stuff. Let's take a listen. Let's get to Matt Walsh.
Today we cancel somebody named Joanne Littman of the Wall Street Journal for an op-ed with this lovely title, Can White Men Finally Stop Complaining? Now, we've obviously reached inception levels of irony when a mainstream media journalist, a female one at that, is complaining about other people complaining. On the other hand, they say we should trust the experts, and she is certainly an expert on the subject of complaining. So let's read on. Quote, the Manosphere won. Bro podcasters top the charts. Meta's Mark Zuckerberg declares his company needs more masculine energy. Elon Musk shares a post saying only high-status males should run the country. The White House kills diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, and so do multiple companies from Target to McDonald's. In 2021, Joe Rogan famously said, it'll eventually get to straight white men are not allowed to talk. It will be, you're not allowed to go outside. I'm not joking. it really will get there. It's that crazy. But Rogan's complaint is actually an old one that has exploded as a rallying cry every decade or so for more than 50 years. White guys have blamed others for their job losses, educational failures, economic problems, and drug addictions. Somebody else is always at fault. The mighty white guy, it turns out, is quite the delicate flower. Racism and sexism are old as time, but the oppressed white man trope is a relatively modern invention with roots in the civil rights and women's rights victory of the 1960s. Now, from here, Littman gives us a lengthy historical overview of what she calls the oppressed white man trope. The whole diatribe is dripping with unmitigated resentment towards...
I want to talk about that. The oppressed white man trope. It's only a trope in like online, and trope. I don't even like to use the word in this sense, but the idea of white men being oppressed is only a conversation that happens online. On television, if you notice white men on television, you see a lot more white men playing secondary roles. There's a lot more space given to non-white males and movies and music and television shows. And so even right now, they talk about James Bond being taken over by a black woman because 007 is just a title. It's not his actual name. And so they want to make 007 now a black woman. And so I don't know if I would use the word, oppression, but there is definitely something going on. Everyone can tell there is something happening here.
White men, but she does offer this generous disclaimer. Quote, to be clear, white guys aren't all sexist or racist or whiners, nor do all or even most buy into the white guy persecution complex. Well, that's nice of her. We aren't all sexist, racist whiners. There are some white guys that pass muster with Joanne Littman. I'm sure there are even some white guys whose work she admires. David Hogg must be one. Pete Buttigieg, Tim Walz, Rachel Levine, Joseph Stalin. But for the most part, she's done with white men. She's just had it up to here. She wants them all to go to hell. Well, first she wants them to buy a subscription to the Wall Street Journal because 62% of the journal's readers are men. But then they can go straight to hell. And here's how she wraps things up. With white guys now dominating government, popular culture, the airwaves, and our brain space, it's puzzling why the victim mentality still persists. The cries that DEI has somehow ruined white men's lives are particularly head-scratching, considering that, as a recent Wall Street Journal analysis revealed, corporate diversity initiatives have had relatively little impact on the workforce. Yet white guys are still insisting that they're being terrorized by the scary DEI monster, blaming it for everything from California wildfires to the Potomac plane crash to the Francis Scott Key bridge collapse. And the most powerful and privileged among them continue to complain.
I think white guys were largely correct about the bridge collapse because, a bunch of foreigners, that's the DEI attack. The plane crashes and the wildfires, women and gays, gay women, basically. I mean, when you're right, you're right.
DEI monster, blaming it for everything from California wildfires to the Potomac plane crash to the Francis Scott Key bridge collapse. And the most powerful and privileged among them continue to complain the loudest. Really, guys? Enough already.
And you know what? I'm not gonna belabor the point because that would be tacky and rude. But I'm really, really curious about Mrs. Lippman. Her childhood, like I wonder what her parents was like, you know what I mean? Were like, I wonder what her relationship with her mom and dad were like. I'm curious about her early life history, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to put the picture together,
Now, there's a lot that could be said in response to this fantastically stupid article. Littman simply dismisses the claim that white males have been treated in a systematically unjust and unfair way. She doesn't debunk it or make any attempt to engage with it. She just kind of waves it away. But for all her waving, the reality remains. It is just a fact that affirmative action and DEI have discriminated against white males for decades. Every single institution in the country has put in place policies that deliberately make it more difficult for white males to be hired. And once they are hired, more difficult to advance. That's not some sort of wild theory. It's the whole point of these policies.
That is kind of the catch-22, right? Because on the one hand, you'll say that, well, we're not purposely discriminating against white men. But then when you listen to people who actually defend or implement these programs, they will say flat out, white men have been in charge of everything all the time for all of history, and we have to fix that. How are we not supposed to notice that? That's what you guys say.
But we don't even have to get into that. All we need to say is this. This article itself is proof of exactly the kind of anti-white male bias that it's denying. Okay, no mainstream publication would ever in a million years publish an article like this targeting any other demographic group. So try this. Swap in any other group you can think of.
And you know what? I almost forgot about this. Shout out to Joey Montana with the $5 Rumble chat. He says, we're only 1.5 months into Trump America, and I already love it. RIP DEI. Big facts, bro. Big facts. RIP.
Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad.
This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology.
Time has expired.
My life was threatened. Thank you.
Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad. Hoes mad.
Any group at all, and hear how it sounds. For example, can black people stop complaining? Black people have blamed others for their job losses, educational failures, economic problems, and drug addictions. Somebody else is always at fault. The mighty black person, it turns out, is quite the delicate flower.
Who would be funny if somebody took that and clipped him all the way out of context and made a big firestorm about this? But that is a hell of a thing to say, Matt. God damn it. Let's run that back. That was amazing.
Can black people stop complaining? Black people have blamed others for their job losses, educational failures, economic problems, and drug addictions. Somebody else is always at fault. The mighty black person, it turns out, is quite the delicate flower.
Mr. Racist Man says it's accurate. I mean, you would say that, Mr. Racist Man. I mean, it's like you were kind of born for that. You would say that, wouldn't you?
Really, black people? Enough already. How about this? Can women finally stop complaining? Women have blamed others for their job losses, educational failures, economic problems, and drug addictions. Somebody else is always at fault. The mighty woman, it turns out, is quite the delicate flower. Really, women? Enough already. Those are articles that would never and could never exist in any mainstream publication. No media outlet in America would ever publish anything like that. Now, it would be easy to disprove my point here. All you'd have to do is find one single article in any publication comparable to the Wall Street Journal where a white person talks about black people that way or a man talks about women that way. Just a single article, even a tweet from somebody who works at one of these places, anything. But you can't. And we all know you can't. And
what happens if a bunch of white guys just like find a way to challenge the issue? You know, you say something provocative, like the Selma bus boycott thing. Like, you set up the situation to get yourself in trouble so you can fight it out in court. Like, why can't I say the N-word when everybody else in this goddamn warehouse says the N-word all day long? Like, I want that fight. I would love to see that fight play out in an actual court of America. Like, Your Honor, I can't help, like, they say it. Why can't I say the word?
Yes, I use nigga. I've used it. I admit it. I put the H on it to emphasize it's nigga. You know, nigga this, nigga please, nigga. You know, can you lend a nigga a pencil?
Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. How much more can I take? Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. How much more can I take? Give a nigga a break.
That's because this is the kind of sneering contempt that can only be expressed towards one demographic group and no other. You are allowed to openly despise one group and only one, and that is white men. That's it. And Joanne Littman can't deny this. She doesn't even really try. Her point is simply that we shouldn't complain about this blatantly unfair dynamic. We should just accept our role as a societal punching bag. Because we're white men, after all. We deserve it. Littman isn't really upset that we're complaining. She's upset.
Yes, white men. Let everybody kick you in the balls until the end of eternity. Because you did something bad once upon a time to somebody or other. Those are the rules now. It's written in the good book.
Upset that we, at least some of us white men anyway, are rejecting that role. White men have had enough of this. We're not just complaining.
Oh, have you?
We are speaking up in our own defense.
Are you now? Really? You're speaking up in your own defense. Really? I wonder what comes next. Pray tell. They're speaking up now. Guys, the white man is speaking up now. He's saying words now.
Fuck you. War.
And that is what's so upsetting to her. When white men speak up in their own defense, they are demonstrating some semblance of pride in themselves as individuals and as a group. At least enough pride to say, hey, we don't deserve to be mocked and belittled like this. We deserve at least the same basic respect that every other group receives.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
That's the really ominous thing in the mind of somebody like Joanne Littman. White men must not have any pride. Women are allowed, in fact, encouraged to be proud of the fact that
you know, this Joanne Littman is something about her. I'm wondering, like, did she play board games as a child? Did she go to like her local public school? I'm just curious, like, what was her early life history like? I am so curious about this Littman lady all of a sudden.
they're women. Black people certainly can be proud of the fact that they're black people. Asians, Hispanics, gay people, every demographic group you can name can and should be proud of their membership in that group, except white men. The only feelings that white men are permitted to feel about their group identity are remorse, shame, and disgust. That's been the rule in our society for many years.
Yes, ever since you adopted Martin Luther King as Black Jesus for white people. David Drencher in the chat, do you remember that moment that we had yesterday where you asked me why we put MLK and Uncle H in the same conversation? Because that's when it started. That's when it started. Uncle H became the devil and MLK became white Jesus. I mean, he became Black Jesus for white people. And ever since then, the white man has been wondering what's happened to my country.
Startles Joanne Littman is that some white men are not following that rule. I'm certainly not. I am proud to be a white man. I think that if anyone's writing an article singling out white men, it should be to thank us. After all, as I said recently,
Whoa now. Whoa, slow down, white man. You want thanks and shit? Next, you're gonna want me to walk on the other side of the sidewalk when you're coming my way.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
The white man, like, we need our shit, bro. We need that thank you.
We need our weed. I don't wear it, but we need it.
Whoa. It's like a different kind of white man is emerging. This is a whole new white man. This is like the white men from movies when I was a kid. They do karate and shoot guns at people.
This country could not exist without white men. Nearly every good thing you have in your life, everything that makes your life safer, more comfortable, more enjoyable, was given to you by a white man.
Whoa. I will have you know, Mr. White Man, that everything was actually invented by black people in the heart of Africa. There was a lab deep in the Congo 12,000 years ago. There was a lab in the Congo and they created everything. And then, I don't know, we must have lost the key. Must have locked ourselves out of the garage or something like that. I really don't know what happened, but I know for a fact that it was black people. God damn it! Lies. This motherfucker really, he trying to lie. He really trying to kick some knowledge. This that tricknology. I swear to God, this that tricknology I heard about. This is that tricknology where you try to now steal all of our previous black man glory. I know my history, white man. You didn't invent that. Remember when Obama said, you didn't build that business? You didn't build that road? That was us, nigga. We built this shit. From Japan to Stonehenge, nigga, that was us, white man.
Wait, what? Rich, now what's our motto? We was kings. We was kings!
The vast majority of the greatest pioneers, inventors, thinkers, leaders in the history of Western civilization have been white men. White men have been by far and away the main ones to fight our wars, achieve every political and scientific advancement.
No, white man, you are very warlike. You do fight the wars. You are very warrior-esque in that sense. You know, you do like to kill and fight a lot. And you know what's funny? I saw something on Twitter earlier I had responded to. It was interesting because somebody had put up a map. It was like a world map, and on that map they had all these different flags of nations, and the way it was laid out was all the different islands around the world and who like discovered them first, right? And what I saw was that none of the African countries had discovered any of the islands on the map. I was like, huh. It's a noticeable lack of flags from African countries. They were like all from European countries. It's crazy. It's crazy. You guys just went around conquering and warring and all that. And then the funny thing about it is that when I was scrolling through the comments, somebody was like, oh, the white man just went around conquering, saying, oh, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And I'm like, you just mad because Africa didn't do that. None of the Africans can get out on the water and conquer some shit 2 days sail away.
Build basically every aspect of our society. Without white men, you would not have airplanes, you would not have phones, you would not have air conditioning, you would not have cars, computers, trains, modern medicine, microscopes, elevators, x-ray machines, calculus, the periodic table, rocket ships, rocket science, democracy, the abolition of slavery. And I could go on and on and on.
That just sounded like the intro to the Big Bang Theory or something. You did all those things, really?
Who knows you better than you know yourself? Your family might online profile off grid, faceable, can't be any world privacy. You might point at individuals just because I'm hosting and.com/Matt Walsh Show. Now, you might point out that these things were achieved not by white men collectively, but by specific white male individuals. Just because I'm a white guy doesn't mean I get to take credit for the fact that, air conditioning exists.
You are not all Caesar. You're not Alexander the Great. None of you conquered the world. There was just that one guy.
And that's true, of course, in a literal sense. But if it makes no sense to lump white men together when discussing these accomplishments, if it makes no sense to give us all credit for what specific white men have done,
that it is ironic in the context of everything we're talking about here tonight, Uncut Underground. It is ironic that J.D. Vance said those words openly in front of everybody. He was saying it to a white guy, but he was saying it to a little bitch-ass white guy from a little shitty country that don't really hold no weight. So it was valid. It was valid. Because, the Slavs are like the niggers of Europe anyway. And he was like, did you say thank you one time? The white man need his thank you, bro. He needs his recognition. If he don't get his recognition, shit about to be up. I don't know what to tell y'all.
We need our weed. I don't wear it, but we need it.
then why does it make sense to lump us all together for the sake of lecturing and scolding us? You cannot have it both ways. Like, let me see if I have this right. As a white man, I get no credit for the good white men have done, but I do share the blame for the bad? Is that how it works? Well, yes, that is how they want it to work. And yet again, this is a rule that does not apply to any other group, not a single other group. Black people are frequently celebrated as a group.
Why you got to bring black people into this? White man, why don't you just defend your own shit without dragging black people into this? Jesus Christ, don't you know we already got enough on our plate right now? Why you got to drag the black folk into this, man? You just asking for shit, bro. You just want the smoke, man. All right. You want it this way. It's okay. Have it your way, white man.
This is a rule that does not apply to any other group.
And he's like banging on the table and shit. This motherfucker is getting a little emotional. He's really getting upset. I'm starting to see some feelings coming out of Matt Walsh here. This does not apply to any other motherfucking group. Fuck!
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Not a single other group. Black people are frequently celebrated as a group, and black people individually are encouraged to take pride in the good done by other black individuals. Women also are celebrated as a group. Women are very much encouraged to take pride in what women have done.
Oh, shit. He's about to talk about black women. God damn it. I feel it coming. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Hold on. I know he's about to talk about black women. How can you not talk about black women? How can you be an angry white man and not mention black women once? I have never encountered an angry white man who didn't have something to say about black women. That's at least 20% of his anger alone.
Nobody would think it was strange if a black woman said that Harriet Tubman makes her...
I'm sorry, because I'm watching all this for the first time. I only watched like the first 2 minutes of this, and I said I'm going to put a show together. But God, yeah, oh man, I just knew it. I just knew it. Matt was channeling deep whiteness when he put this this video together. Matt was channeling deep Aryan spirits today. He was in touch with his Aryan roots today. I know it was. I know the gods were looking down on him from Valhalla, giving him encouragement and strength. Yes, talk about Keisha, my son.
Women are very much encouraged to take pride in what women have done. Nobody would think it was strange if a black woman said that Harriet Tubman makes her proud to be a black woman.
You got to drag Harriet Tubman into this, bro. You got to drag Harriet Tubman into this, bro. Why you got to drag Harriet? Harriet was resting. Harriet wasn't doing nothing to nobody, man. She brought a couple slaves home. They made a movie about her. She was chilling. Why you got to bring Harriet up, bro? See, she was chilling, bro. I don't know why you did this.
Because there are a lot of people in this country who do not like black women, but black women are the base of the Democratic Party.
Right? Nobody would criticize a black woman who expressed that sentiment. In fact, if you criticized her for it, you'd be a racist. And yet, if I said that Isaac Newton makes me proud to be a white man, I would be both condemned as a racist and mocked for saying something so absurd.
Why would it be absurd? See, this is where, Matt Walsh, he's cosplaying. He's cosplaying. He's not really there yet. He's not deep into his Aryan anger yet, because he wouldn't consider it absurd to be proud that Isaac Newton is of his tribe. Because that is the Rubicon that you kind of have to cross. You have to own that shit, right? You have to be like, yes, I am of those people. He is I and I am him. Slim with the tilted brim. What's your name, fool? Isaac Newton. You got to have swagger with that shit, Aryan man. You don't want to own it yet. That's why you cosplaying. You're not ready yet. You don't have the balls for this shit yet, Matt.
I said that Isaac Newton makes me proud to be a white man. I would be both condemned as a racist and mocked for saying something so absurd. Look, there's just no logical way to defend that double standard. And yet it exists. And we all know that it exists. In fact, as we know, all of these groups have their own months on the calendar set aside for the purpose of reflecting on their group achievements.
Now, to be fair, most of the calendar months are named after white men. January is named after Janus, is a white god. I think July is named after Julius Caesar. Most of the days of the week, I think, are named after white people. Or something white-ish.
White men do not, even though, frankly, we have the most achievements. Just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you know what? Free zone. You gotta give Matt time. Because there are a lot of guys. Matt is, he's like Tucker Carlson. He didn't ask for whiteness to be thrust upon him in this way, right? Matt didn't want to be white. Just like Tucker didn't want to be white. Matt just wanted to be a dude with a beard who goes to church. That's really what, that was the extent of his identitarian dreams were. He didn't want to be white. Tucker didn't want to be white. Matt didn't want to be white. There are a lot of white guys out there who did not truly want to be white. But niggas made him white. That is the irony of this day and age. That is the true joke of it all. This is why I say shit like, I used to think life was a tragedy, and then I realized it was a comedy, because there are cosmic jokes here. Numbers aren't emotional, but God is a comedian. God has a sense of humor. There is a cosmic joke in this. White people were trying so hard to not be white, and niggas made them white. Niggas forced whiteness upon them. I didn't choose whiteness rock. Whiteness rock chose me. And Matt, you know, he's gonna pull the sword from the stone too. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but there will come a day where Matt pulls the sword from the stone and he wants to defend his kingdom. He wants to be the hero of the story, because that's how all the stories work, right? That's how all your childhood stories went, right? There has to be a hero who steps up. There has to be somebody who comes forward to fight the beast, to face the bully. It is in all of your Aryan genes. The white man didn't even conquer the world until he started worshiping the god of war. Once the white man made the god a man who loves war, it was white man all over the place after that. Sooner or later, they're going to pull the sword from the stone. You know why? Because you niggas forced whiteness upon them. Look at Elon Musk. All he want to do is build rocket ships and go to Mars. That's all Elon wanted to do, was build fucking rocket ships and go to Mars. That's it. That was his big dream. That was the whitest dream Elon had. I just want to build electric cars and go to Mars, and we're going to have an electric car race on Mars. That's all he wanted to do. That's all he wanted. That's all he ever dreamed of. Look at Elon now.
Yes! This is what victory feels like. Yeah! This is an important seminar, but this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Ago, speaking of black women, Today.com had an article with this title: 25 influential black women who changed history. And the list is, I'm afraid to say, the list is not terribly impressive. Beyonce and Michelle Obama made the cut, just to give you an idea.
Neither of them changed history. I mean, you could argue she gets some credit for being married to Barack because he was the one who changed history. But, you know, that's crazy. That's crazy.
In fact, one of the names on the list isn't even a black woman. Laverne, just terribly impressive. Beyonce and Michelle Obama made the cut, just to give you an idea. In fact, one of the names on the list isn't even a black woman. Laverne Cox is on the list, and he's a male. And even if he wasn't, how does some random actor make the list of the most influential figures in all history? Yet this is the kind of article, one of the many thousands I could cite, that can be written to highlight the achievements of any group besides white men. You will never see an article on Today.com listing the 25 most influential white men who changed history, even though our list would have some real heavy hitters. It would have like the most important humans who've ever lived on the planet: Isaac Newton, Alexander the Great, Shakespeare, Da Vinci, Plato, George Washington, Magellan, etc. Okay, not going to be in a room for B-level actors on our list, but that's a list that you will never see published anywhere by anyone ever. A couple of years ago, the Boston Globe published an article with this title: What We Mean by Black Girl Magic. And the article is about black girl magic, which is a phrase we hear a lot these days, meant to describe the special magic, the beautiful essence of black women. And here's how the article begins. When I see a black woman, I see a revolution. She's here. In a country determined to rest its back on her shoulders while calling her worthless, I see magic.
Matt Walsh is really going in on Black Girl Magic. And I'm sorry, I had to step away for a minute and take a phone call, so I couldn't even listen to what he was actually saying. But I come back and I see a angry looking BBW. It's probably gay. Oh, man. Matt Walsh, you really wanted some smoke today, didn't you?
Okay, not going to be in a room for B-level actors on our list, but that's a list that you will never see published anywhere by anyone ever. A couple of years ago, the Boston Globe published an article with this title, What We Mean by Black Girl Magic. And the article...
Oh, Matt is discovering the truth of Black Girl Magic. Okay.
The article is about Black Girl Magic, which is a phrase we hear a lot these days, meant to describe the special magic, the beautiful essence of Black women. And here's how the article begins. When I see a Black woman, I see a revolution. She's here. In a country determined to rest its back on her shoulders while calling her worthless, I see magic. I don't see a superhuman, I see an architect. I know she's doing a lot of groundwork to be present, to walk that walk with swag.
Black women are architects? You see an architect? Like Frank Lloyd Wright? Like you just build? Like you built the universe?
But if man had to find out that his God was a woman,
I say the black woman is God, and
black woman is God.
I say the black woman is God.
The black woman is God because, you know, she was the first organism on this planet.
You know, I'm curious. I mentioned this earlier in the show, and I'm curious. I want to do a panel discussion, and we're most definitely going to bring this panel over to Rumble. So if you haven't moved over to Rumble yet, if you haven't followed us over there on Rumble yet, you're going to miss an interesting conversation, most likely. I do believe fun things will be said, but I'm curious as to, is there anybody in the chat who is a white person who wants to talk about these issues that Matt Walsh has raised? If you are a white person who wants to talk about anything that you've seen on the show today, put a 1 in the chat. I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm looking for authentic white people, not you, Dave. I'm just curious who wants to talk. Are there any other Matt Walshes in the chat? I'm willing to do a little bit of segregation here. I'm willing to do a little bit of segregation. Yeah. Water fountains and all of that shit.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
But I'm working on a white party, if you will. And because I'm just curious. I'm curious about the thoughts and sentiments of actual white people.
Its back on her shoulders while calling her worthless, I see magic. I don't see a superhuman, I see an architect. I know she's doing a lot of groundwork to be present, to walk that walk with swagger and self-determination. I know she's becoming more and more herself, building the truth in a world that lies to us about who we are.
Well, white women are allowed. I mean, you know, if we can suffer black girl magic, we can hear little white women's opinions. I mean, frankly, who's really afraid of a strong white woman anyway?
When I die, I'ma go to Snow Bunny Heaven. Snow Bunny Heaven.
Now, not to belabor the point, but this is the kind of article that could never be written about white men. It's the kind of article that could only not be written about one group, and that is white men. But let's just hear how that would sound. if that article was written. Imagine this in the Boston Globe. Okay.
See, this is the thing, Matt. I already know, Matt. You don't believe yet. That's just the thing. You know how, like, in the Matrix, the whole point of the first Matrix movie, it wasn't getting Neo to believe that there was danger in the world. It was getting Neo to believe that he had the power to defeat the danger. And it was then that he became Neo. He became the one. He had to actually believe. He took a little leap of faith, I guess, but it was then he believed. And Matt, you're just not ready to believe. Maybe you have to take a leap of faith and die a little bit like Neo did, and then you come back as the one. And you can, like, bend spoons and shit with your mind.
Okay. What we mean by white man magic.
I just realized it too. It's like, are you saying? I can hear white men in their heads right now. Are you saying I'll get to say the N-word in public? No, my Aryan friend. What I'm saying is you won't even have to.
When I see a white man, I see a revolution. He's here in a country determined to rest its back on his shoulders while calling him worthless. I see magic. I don't see a superhuman. I see an architect. I know he's doing a lot of groundwork to be present, to walk that walk with swagger and self-determination. I know he's becoming more and more himself, building the truth in a world that lies to us about who we are. That article can't exist, even though one could certainly argue that it applies more to white men. After all, white men are explicitly demeaned as worthless in a way that black women literally never are, ever. And
are black women valued more than white men in today's America? Serious question. Serious question. Pound for pound, are black women valued more than white men in modern America? I would venture it's more yes than no. I mean, it's probably arguable, but I think we're leaning toward a value shift. You know, black women have been getting favored a lot. You know what I mean? But I do realize that no matter how many black women they put on a CNN panel, it only takes one well-spoken white guy to shut them all down. It's amazing how that works. It's a weird like currency exchange problem.
This country has I want to pause on that for a second, because this is something we hear about. The narrative in the media has been forever that black women are not just oppressed, but the most oppressed of all groups, constantly belittled. And yet in reality, never. You know, the only place where you're going to hear black women explicitly belittled and demeaned, the only place,
rap, hip hop,
is in rap music performed by black men. Outside of that,
that's the only power you niggas got. That's the only power you niggas got. You can't check your bitch, but you can write a diss track though.
That never happens. Never, ever, anywhere. But with white men, it's a little different. You'll hear that kind of stuff everywhere all the time. And also, this country has largely rested on the shoulders of white men since its inception. As for magic, you know, I wouldn't say that white men have magic, but they are the ones who learned how to fly, who walked on the moon, who traveled to both poles of the earth, who made it to the deepest depths of the ocean. Okay, it's not magic.
White people need a I believe I can fly. That's really what I'm hearing. White people need a I believe I can fly. Don't try to sound like R. Kelly though. You gotta country it up, you know. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Like, white people need an I believe I can fly right now.
magic, but it's as close as human beings have ever come to it. But we aren't supposed to talk about any of that. And just not supposed to talk about it. Just not supposed to acknowledge that any of that is true, even though we all know it is. And the reason is obvious. If white men are allowed to think of themselves as a group in anything but an explicitly negative context, then they'll quickly realize that they aren't, in fact, the great villains of history. Far from the villains, they've been, in so many cases, the heroes. And once they realize that, all the guilt and shame they're supposed to feel, and that some of them actually do feel, will melt away. The left's whole narrative collapses. Their emotional blackmail stops working, the jig is up, and that's what they're afraid of.
Damn. As soon as white men start to drag their Aryan nuts, that's when all the money runs out. And that's really what's starting to happen, right? Even with the Trump, Trump's coming in, he's got J.D. Vance and Elon. They're kicking over tables, they're ripping up agreements, they're fucking up people's money.
No more money for you. It's lazy. You lazy. You lazy. No more money for you.
That's what Joanne Littman is afraid of. And that's why she is today canceled. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like...
Yeah, that Joanne Littman. I'm really curious. Like, I wonder if she was on the cheerleading team. I wonder if she I wonder if she was in the Girl Scouts or something as a kid. I'm just, for some reason, I'm really, really curious about her early life. I just want to know more about this woman. You write really interesting articles, Ms. Littman. Very, very interesting articles you write there, Ms. Littman. So we are at that time now where we're going to move this thing over. I've invited the white panel. It's getting a little bit Aryan in the back chat now. And so what we're going to do is make the customary jump over to Rumble. And we're going to have a white party. And it's going to get racial. Tune in, guys. Tune in. So if you haven't followed us already, the links are in the chat. We're going over to Rumble. We will be right back in a minute. Let me get things set up, and we're going to switch out, and I will see you guys in a minute. If you have a valid white card, the link is in the chat. This is a segregated chat, apparently. I know. We're doing that. We're doing that just this one time.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
Balliamo fino alla fortuna, il sole ritorna. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Possiamo per sempre restare se andiamo là. Jail.